And so I believe what it is you guys are paired to work with them after school and even during school sometimes. Okay. And what have you seen Hannah excel in? Like, what is she best at?
She's good at like finding letters, I guess, and like she knows like some items.
I'd say a lot of improvement because in like 4th grade she wasn't really cooperative, but now she like does everything like normally.
And what would you say is the best part about having Hannah in the classroom?
There's a lot of excitement, and she always makes everything not foreign.
I've known her since last year and a little bit in 4th grade.
And so what has she done in the past? What have you done with her?
She's been very good, and she's improved in school because last year she used to have a little doll, and this year she doesn't. And she didn't get a lot of attention last year, I think. And she's gotten more attention, and she's learned a lot.
And what would you say is helping her more? Do you think the school system is working well with Hannah in the classroom and outside?
I think just like she gets more friends now, and everyone's like helping her and having fun with her.
And what would you say is Hannah's favorite activity, whether it's in the Best Buddies program or in the classroom?
I think she likes Mrs. Bowen's class language and science, because she likes in science she likes the experiments a lot.
Just fun to have her in the classroom.
At the beginning of the year with Hannah, it was a little distracting because she would oftentimes make, a lot of noises. But as the year has gone on, she has really gotten much better with not making a lot of noises and really controlling, her outbursts during class. And truthfully, the kids, they know that once in a while she will make some noises. But overall, it doesn't even faze them anymore. It kind of, she's part of the class, and they don't even respond to it. She works usually with a lab group with something that she can work with. If it's an experiment where we're using water, she doesn't like using a lot of water. She doesn't like touching water. But if we're doing something like, for example, today we did an experiment with rubber stopper and some corks and catapults. She really does enjoy being within the group, and the group enjoys working with her as well. So it works out nicely having her in the room.
Her strengths, oddly enough, are the keyboard. When she first started, she would maybe use one finger on some of the keys, and Paris said her left hand was very weak, but about a week and a half ago, she's actually using both hands now, so she'll play a gliss up and down the keyboard with her right hand, then she'll do the same thing with her left hand, so I'm definitely starting to see an equality of strength in the hands, which is great.
And how has working with other students in the classroom helped her?
I think it's great because they see that they want to actually jump in and help her out. They're not intimidated by her because of her strengths and her particular strengths and weaknesses. They just jump in. They want to see her succeed, and they do that without a second thought. I can kind of hang in the background and just watch these kids say, "Oh, Hannah, try this." Boom, Hannah, try this, and they rise to the occasion.
Hannah is an absolute pleasure to work with. When she was first came to the middle school, I was a little apprehensive about how involved she was and how included she would be able to be in the classrooms. I work with a great team of teachers, and we meet every single day, and we talk about ways that we can include her in the curriculum so that she's not doing something completely different from what the other students are doing when it's possible. An example might be, if the math teacher were working on decimals, percents, and fractions. While they're doing that, Hannah might be working with numbers and setting up her number cards to match maybe what the answer is that the other students came up with. While the other students might move on to something else like fractions or percents from decimals, Hannah will stay with the same task until she has it mastered, or we decide to alter it in some way.
Now, what would you say to a school system or an environment that doesn't have inclusion as their source for special education?
I cannot even begin to tell you how much inclusion has made a difference for my special ed students. it's not an easy transition. It's not something that's going to say, okay, today we're not included, tomorrow we're included. It's a work in progress. It still is. We've been doing it here at the middle school, well, probably maybe 15 years to various degrees, and it's still a work in progress. We find new things that work better. We tried different things. And we, the working relationship between the special ed department and the regular ed department, coordinating paraprofessional help, it's not an easy task. And if you take little bites at a time, instead of trying to do the
Becomes
whole
less
thing.
daunting.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Inclusion, my philosophy on inclusion is that that's the only way to teach children. All children need to be in the classroom, whether you have a disability or not. And that's where your peers are, that's where your certified teachers are, that's where the special ed teachers are. So all students need to be included in the classroom. Anytime you take a student out of a regular ed classroom, they're going to be missing out on some delivery of curriculum or instruction that's taking place. And in addition to that, the regular ed classroom is where the modeling is going on by the other students. So those students who need to see what a regular day is like, what regular behaviors are like, what the expectations are of the classroom, the school, the society. That's where the modeling takes place, and all students need to be in there. Almost like an immersion. You accidentally pick up some instruction or some behaviors that you need. Whether you have a slight disability or you have severe disabilities, all students need to be in the classroom. If students are other students are used to having students with disabilities in the classroom, then they're treated the same as everybody else. For instance, in this district, it's been a long process where it was done a little bit at a time, and now this year in the middle school we are a completely inclusion program. So we don't have any pullout unless it's absolutely necessary and for a minimum amount of time. And the reason we were able to do that is because there's been a lot of training for the teachers. The inclusion process started years ago, and the students in the regular ed classroom know that these students with disabilities are their peers, and they are not looked at any differently. The benefits are not of inclusion are not just for the student with a disability. It is for everybody, because when the student is included in the classroom, the other students benefit because these are people that they're going to see every day out at the grocery stores, out in their jobs, and they need to learn how to deal with people who are different from them. What I would say to other districts, if they're interested in considering inclusion as part of their philosophy on instruction, start slow. Make sure your teachers are trained on how to deal with students with various disabilities. Make sure that students with disabilities are included in some classrooms. Going completely from self-contained to all mainstream would be a shock on the students, on everybody. So to do it slowly and make sure that everybody is prepared for it, including parents.
So how do parents feel about having their children in an environment with kids?
As far as parents of students without disabilities, and there's a student with needs in the classroom, when you're first starting, parents will have a lot of questions, and parents will think that you may be, as a teacher, possibly dumbing down the curriculum, and that's why the training is so important. You have to make sure that that doesn't happen, that you differentiate instruction for all the students, whether they have disabilities or not. And parents need to be aware that this is what is accepted and what is expected.